Just wait for the next speaker, and we have a couple of minutes. Then we'll begin, Romila.
He will be speaking first.
Yeah.
Fine. And then after Binay, I will speak.
You will speak. Yeah.
So I'll be given approximately 20-25 minutes.
20 minutes, maximum 20.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. You just when we will start. Okay, fine. It's okay. Right.
Should I remind you?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Because once you start, like the teachers inside you, it forgets.
Yeah.
That is the right.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay. You don't mind? I'll remind you.
Yeah. Sure. 5 minutes. 5 minutes before.
Okay. I'll message.
Sure.
Namaste, sir.
नमस्ते मैडम. नमस्ते.
सर नमस्ते सर.
नमस्ते मैडम, कैसे हैं आप?
ठीक सर. वापस पहुंच गए सर भुवनेश्वर?
उसके बाद तो कई बार दिल्ली जाकर आ गया मैं.
हाँ जी सर, पता चलता.
आज सुबह भी वहीं से आया हूँ मैं.
ओ, आज सुबह आए हो?
हाँ.
ओ अच्छा, बन गया सर. आजकल सब लोग पूछ रहे हैं क्या हो रहा है. आई टेप. मैं कहा हम एक दिन खुद ही ओरिएंटेशन लेंगे सर से.
हमारे ग्रुप का तो लगभग हो गया है वैसे. पिछली मीटिंग में शायद आप आ नहीं पाए थे.
नहीं सर, हम लोगों का भी ओरिएंटेशन ले लेना एक बार. बिकॉज लोग तो पूछते ही है ना सर. उनको लगता है एनसीईआरटी में है तो सब कुछ भी पता होगा. हमने बोला नहीं, हमें सब कुछ नहीं पता, हमें अधूरी सी बातें पता है. तो मतलब वी आर सीरियस सर. एक बार हमें भी बता
Hello, good evening, namaste, and welcome to this national webinar. We are all aware that India holds the presidency for G20, and different programs are being. May I request all the participants to kindly mute? Or Abhijit, can you mute the participants? Yeah. As far It's fresh in everyone's memory that recently RI Bhubaneswar as Anchor Institute has organized a series of programs under G20 Jan Bhagidari events. And this is in preparation to the G20 working group meeting, which is going to be held in Pune in the end of this month. NCRT is organizing certain programs through all RIEs. And in this context, we are organizing this national webinar. And this theme is foundational literacy and numeracy. We have decided that to focus today's discussion on possibilities for the stakeholders. For this webinar, I'm happy to welcome the chairperson, our principal, Professor P.C. Agarwal, our dean, Professor Sandhya Sahu, all the HODs of the departments, faculty members, students, and all the participants. It's our privilege that we have got two speakers for today's webinar, and both of them are academically strong with the knowledge of early literacy, early child development, and about early literacy. And similarly, they are also very innovative at the implementation level, and both of them they have worked in the ground level, and they continue to do that as a passion. And it's a very kind of them that they have agreed. So I take this opportunity to welcome both our speakers for today's webinar. And I think we can begin. Dr. Romila Soni is our own member of NCERT. She is Associate Professor at the Department of Elementary Education at NCERT. And we have Mr. Vinay Patnaik, who is a Senior Education Consultant of World Bank, who's with us. I'm not able to see. Vinayji, are you here? Okay, I think we can have Romila first then. Romila, is it okay?
Absolutely, absolutely. Meanwhile, you can connect with Dr. Binay.
I will. Professor Behra is contacting him. We can listen to him. Okay, I invite Dr. Romila Soni to present on her topic.
Sure.
I think she will introduce her topic and then go ahead. Welcome, Romila.
Sure. Thank you so much. So allow me to share my presentation and just tell me, so can you see the presentations, dear?
Yes.
Everyone? Right.
Yes, you can.
Right. Very good. So is the screen slideshow is there? I hope it is visible.
We can see the first slide.
Yeah. Fine.
Yeah.
It's okay. Fine. So shall I talk in Hindi or in English or in mixed language?
Fine. Yeah, you can mix.
Right. Fine. So good evening to all, and namaste to all. And I'm very thankful to RI Bhubaneswar, Professor Agarwal, and the principal, Professor Agarwal, and Professor Gauramma for giving me this opportunity to talk on FLN. So today's my topic is storytelling and listening to stories, which is a critical skill for early reading. So whenever we say, why storytelling is important and how we can use the stories for young children to motivate them towards reading, towards writing, and also towards numeracy, because story-based approach is also mentioned in National Curriculum Framework for the Foundational Stage 2022 and also in the mission document Nipun Bharat. Story-based approach is one of the strongest approach through which we can help children to develop in them the desire for reading and motivation for reading. So although I have connected with you through online, and many of you must have, I can see many of you have connected with me online. So if you can see, what was your favorite story when you were a child? You can drop down your answers in the chat box as well, although it is a webinar. So how was the story presented to you and read to you? Was it in a book form? Have you seen the story? You can drop your answers in the chat box. We will not do a question and answer session. And was it in a book form? Have you seen any kind of a story on cinema, like a TV program for the children? Have any story told to you by the adults? Have you seen any story on the television? And then who told you the story? How did it make you feel? I'm just requesting all the participants to please keep yourself on a mute mode. Dear participants, please keep yourself on the mute mode. Yeah, thank you so much. So, like, this is the thing, because if you recall, like what kind of a story. So I can see on the chat box, books and grandparents told the story, Akbar Birbal stories, that wonderful Vandana, and grandma used to tell the story. That's great. Like, do you still remember, like what kind of a story is? Because today we feel that there are very less kind of a storytelling at home. How did it make you feel? Okay, so I'll just move further. Later on, you can tell me, like how did the story feel? So why storytelling is important? So why we tell stories to the children, and why it is being felt that storytelling is just limited to early childhood education stage? No, it is a myth. Storytelling needs to be told anytime, even when we watch a film on the screen. What is that? That is a story with a character moving. So storytelling inspire you, motivate you to learn. It all depends how and which kind of a story you select. Storytelling help children to get motivated towards sprint. That is the first thing which I am focusing in the context of FLN. Storytelling bring the connection between the speaker and the children. Like, it builds a positive relationship in the classroom. Provided a good storyteller, a teacher brings a lot of information for the children. So you can gather a lot of information. So don't think that storytelling means like a Cinderella or any kind of a thing. So the more we move further on the top, we come to know what and how story-based approach, which is being prescribed in National Curriculum Framework foundational stage also. And it is strongly recommended. The story-based approach strengthens the children's vocabulary development. So why storytelling works and how it works? All of you, storytelling matters. Yes, it does matter. Storytelling remains a powerful element to strengthen the communication channels between the two people. It offers us to connect with the characters, and it takes the children to the to such a kind of a fantasy world where they can connect with the characters, and they can also be encouraged to write the stories. Stories touches our emotions, and when emotions are regulations, children get ready to learn. So what is our purpose? Our purpose is to bring children to the classroom, retain our children in the classroom, and get motivated, like instill them a desire to learn to read, write, and learn. So storytelling is that element which make us laugh, cry, and like you can, as a teacher educators, you can develop a lesson plans based on the story approach. Like very recently, you have seen the Panchpadi in NCFFS approach. So you can plan your story-based approach, keeping in mind your Panchpadi approach, and it will help your children to get more engaged in the classroom, and it will form a basis for strong foundational literacy and numeracy. So let's see, like, what are the benefits of storytelling? And then I'll give you the strategies to tell the stories, which will strengthen the foundational literacy and numeracy skills. So storytelling promotes expressive language development, both in oral and in written forms. Like the older children, they can look at the story cards and they can write it. So there is nothing kind of a formal thing you are giving it to the children. It is a rich source of language and related experiences. Because when we say it is both storytelling and listening to storytelling, listening to stories. Storytelling can be done by the adult also, and retelling the story can be done by the children. So when there is a retelling of the story, there is a practice, there is a repetition which the children learn, and there is a learning of the related experiences and learning about the new vocabulary development. It makes connections with the children's life and interest. As I said, it builds vocabulary and learning of new words. So from the storytelling, you can devise a word wall in your classrooms. And then you can select about the complex language in powerful form. Children learn to speak complex sentences when they listen the story, and when they retell the story, they present the same stories using the complex sentences in a powerful form. So storytelling does make an impact. It helps to improve comprehension. I'll just repeat it. What we are lacking in a classroom, that our children are lacking reading comprehension as well as listening comprehension. So storytelling helps to strengthen both the listening comprehension as well as the reading comprehension, only when it is frequently exposed to the stories. So it widens children's attention span. Most of the time we listen that children are not able to sit in the classroom, they are not able to concentrate on the task. So storytelling is one of the strategy, one of the beautiful pedagogical practices which strengthen the children's attention span. And ultimately, it develops a lifelong love for the reading and books. Now, these are the things. You can take a picture of the present slide also. Stories, phonological awareness. The one very good thing which story-based approach strengthens it is because phonological awareness, children learn about different kind of sounds, rhythms, repetition that encourage children to bring auditory discrimination. So children learn to play with the sounds of the language, such as identifying the rhyming words. Children learn listening comprehension, as I said. They understand what is the beginning of the story, what is the middle of the story, and how it ends. For example, when you assess, you can always ask, show me the cover of the storybook. Okay, show me the back cover of the storybook. Okay, children, show me from where does the story begins. Can you tell me any character that begins with the sound ma? So these are the few ideas for inbuilt and on-the-go assessment while you are telling the story. So imagination and creativity. Children who have been told, read aloud stories, shared reading, guided reading, they are creative and analytical thinkers. It stimulates children's imagination, and they are very, very good creative thinkers. Then sequencing and retelling. They are able to retell the stories and also can arrange the story cards from left to right. When the children are arranging and sequencing the story cards from left to right, what they're learning? They're learning to read and write from left to right. So such kind of activity helps children to motivate as well as prepare them for reading and writing and prepare them for the future classes. Critical thinking and problem solving. Now, here it is a very, very important thing. whenever we do the selection of the stories, we need to, although as a school teachers, as a teacher educators, we are very careful to select the stories that have values, but then select age appropriate values and select such stories which has problems. For example, Lion and the Mouse, it has a problem and it has a value also. Like lion got caught in a net, then he got a problem. Now he solved the problem, like by requesting his friend rat to cut the net. So there was a problem, and asking the friend, friendship is there. So similarly, there is a pigeon and the hunter. So think about how numeracy can also be taught by story-based approach. Stories gives helps to release the pent-up emotions. So story awareness, if we take it as a whole, children learn to understand about print awareness, print motivation, discrimination. Kindly mute your mics. I would be very grateful to participants. Asha Purna Samantri, please mute your mic. Writing ability. And then you can give such kind of a thing when we say shared reading. As a teacher educator, think about such stories, collection of the stories which are based on sounds, phonological awareness, letters, vowels, and numbers, so that you can strengthen the concept of foundational literacy and numeracy. Preparation of the story, go from mini lessons to lengthier lessons, and choose about pre-story activities, during the story activities, and post-story activity. So that pre-story activity is what you can do. Post-story activity, what kind of a literacy and numeracy activity you can do related with that particular story. So how to choose again a story? 5-minute story, 10-minute story, and 15-minute story. Younger the child, the shorter duration, and longer duration is for the older children. So weaving values, as I said, choose such kind of a values where numeracy can also be done, that promotes empathy, teach kindness, and do not forget to bring humor element in your stories. Because although you're teaching about phonological awareness, print motivation, but see that you are, you are doing, you are bringing the humor element in your stories, and simple to complex stories and books about families and tolerance and acceptance. Another very, very important concept is coming from traditional to modern stories. Do not just stick to Jatak Kathaएं or Panchatantra stories. Of course, you do tell the Panchatantra stories, Jatak Kathaएं, and if it is a very long story, bring a small episode from that story. For example, Ramayana. For the younger children, bring an episode of a Ramayana, tell them that episode, and every week or after every 2 days, you bring one episode, right? Because younger children do not have such longer attention span. And then move to the modern story, also the digital stories or the e-stories, so that they can get variety in your stories. Reading pictures with the children. Invite children to create their own picture for storytelling. So what they are doing toy-based pedagogy in it, and you can also call it a do-it-yourself storybook. So take dictation. Why giving a dictation separately? Using dictation as you are telling a story. Let children write what on a sentence strip and attach that strip to the bottom of their pictures, and then encourage children to write their own story. So this is a beautiful activity for class 1 and 2. And then create a story gallery. Once the children created some kind of a picture, written the sentence strip, throw, hang these story cards on the string and create a story gallery. Let the children look at the story gallery and talk about this. So oral expressions is one of the first step in learning language and literacy. So remember, like we always need to keep in mind that younger the children, we have to keep a shorter story and a wordless story picture books. So reading the story, we say, I'm not reading one by one. You can get an idea what I'm saying because the other speaker is also there. When you read aloud the story, the children get attracted only when your pace is according to the character. If the character is a strong character, you need to talk like a character, and how loud that character is speaking. If there is a rabbit like a character, you have to speak like a rabbit. So encourage your children to use their finger, tracing the words while they read right from left to right, and turning the pages of the book. That is again a reading, one of the reading or pedagogical strategies. Ask some questions about the story. For example, what do you think happened next? Why is the girl so happy? Who has the ball? Ask questions that help them relate to the story. So these are the open-ended questions. Like when we see, how would you feel if this was you? Or what would you do if this happened to you? Chant or sing repetitive phrases and words together. So, and just look at it here. Just look at it here, storytelling strategies for the classroom. Just look at this picture. So if you have seen these strategies, these are the strategies, sharing your own stories just for fun, using stories as introduction, using stories as illustrations, tie storytelling to learning goals, tell stories to engage reluctant learners. Now, when we say reluctant learners or reluctant readers, when the children are not interested towards, when children are not interested towards print, when children are not interested towards reading. Now, what you can do? You can tell stories in a way and try to have a story-based approach, keeping pre- and post-story activities. So this is one of the very, very important purpose to attract the reluctant learners. So now I'll go a fast little bit. Question to consider when you're preparing your story-based lessons. Will the children know anything about the topic? If not, how can I introduce the topic? You can also introduce the topic like showing a storybook to a child, and you can ask, so children, what do you think? What this storybook is going to tell you? What do you think? What could be the characters in the story? Will the children be interested in the topic? If not, how can I make it more interesting to bring life to the story? Throughout the course of the reading stories or read aloud story, stop and ask questions to see whether your children are engaged or not. This is again an inbuilt and on-the-go assessment. It is not that you will tell a story and now you're going to do an assessment. Keep asking, what do you think? What will happen next? What happened to the lion? What is this character like? Can you tell me what happened so far in the story? So this will help you to see whether the children are engaged, listening to you or not. Helping children with literacy difficulty. So you can see and you can have a glance. The children with literacy difficulties, what you can do. You can write a notes. You can ask your child to write back to you. Use everyday opportunities for reading and writing. Connect the story to reality. Find out. Plan, draw, and write about. Create your own stories. So these are the prompts for reading process. You can take a snapshot of it. This is the way, like you can do the assessment. How does the print works? So what kind of a questions you can ask the child? Can you try reading the sight word? Look at this picture reading poster. Can you find letter M in your favorite noodles? Right? तो इस तरह की चीजें आपको बहुत मदद करती हैं. So I just end my presentation with the small story. Ram and Shyam were in a fight. दोनों लड़ाई कर रहे थे. Both of them said that they owned the same mango tree. They went to Birbal and asked him to decide the matter once and for all. Who was the true owner of the mango tree? Birbal said. Now what Birbal said? Birbal said there is only one way to settle the matter. First, you must take all the fruit off the tree. Each of you should take half the mangoes. Then you must cut down the tree and divide the trunk in half. Each of you should take half the wood too. Then everything will be fair. That is what I say. Ram thought that it was all of a very good idea and he said no. He said so. But Shyam said, Your Honor, I have tended that tree for 7 years. If you must, give the mango tree to Ram, but do not make us cut it down. What you have said told me all I need to know, said Birbal. Then he said that Shyam was the true owner of the mango tree. So this is how, like you can think about what was the story all about. Instead of me telling you the values, what Birbal understood from what Shyam said, what would you have answered if you were in the place of Shyam or Ram? How do you like to end the story? What would you have done if we're in the place of the people? Why trees are so important for us? So EVS is there. Why Birbal has chosen Shyam to give him the mango tree? So what do you think? What else you can do as a post-storytelling activity to build children's FLN skills? So thank you so much for your patient listening. It was a short presentation. So believe in the power of storytelling and spark a love for reading and writing through stories. So thank you so much. I here stop share.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Romila. I didn't know that. Namaste. I welcome our speaker of today, Vinay ji. And we are eager to listen to you. Before that, Romila, we knew that listening to story will really not make us aware of the time, how quickly the time goes. Today, I came to know that telling about storytelling also can be so engaging. And it was so nice that you ended the story with, ended the session with a very small but nice story for all of us. Thank you so much. Now we are ready to listen to our next speaker. Listeners can refresh themselves and get ready to at another session, and he would be talking on the foundational literacy and numeracy in the context of multilingualism, which all of us as practitioners or even as educators are thinking about the complexities of the multilingualism and development of literacy. Welcome to you, Vinayji. You can take over.
Namaste. Thank you so much, Goramaji. And I'm very happy that Dr. Romila Soni, we are working together on certain issues on FLN, and she made a nice presentation. And after that, it is over to me to share the experience from a multilingual context. Because when it becomes multilingual, the dynamics change somewhat. What Dr. Romila Soni ji said about that. That is a wonderful experience. Please allow me to share screen so that I can share my screen and the presentation. Am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible.
Yeah.
The host has already given you permission to share this.
But it still says host disabled participant screen sharing.
Vijay, can you please permit? Yeah.
And Okay.
You can mute other participants, Abhijit.
Yeah, is it visible now?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to talk about the multilingual situation that we come across in different parts of India. And as we all know, India is I want to go back. Yeah. Yeah. So when we talk about foundational literacy and numeracy, we focus on the 3 R's, which is reading, writing, and arithmetic skills for children at the early primary level. And this is very important for each child to learn, because without this, no one can progress in life, in education and holistic development. So when you look at the multilingual context, the situation changes very much. And in this discussion, I would like to focus on these 12 points, which are very crucial for promoting FLN in a multilingual context. First thing is recognizing that learning is difficult in a multilingual context. If you look at the genesis of multilingual education, in early 2000, most of the people didn't believe that multilingual context is different and it calls for a different pedagogical process. But now the situation has changed. In 2005, the National Curricular Framework talked about the significance of multilingualism and multilingual education, and it definitely gave us a theoretical perspective, and a lot of initiatives started in India. And after that, we have got many supportive policies and processes which have enabled us to look at this issue in a more careful manner. So the first thing is recognizing this, which is possible now, it's more easy now. Second is undertaking socio-linguistic surveys in the localities to understand the background of children, teachers, and the content. Third is mapping out children's languages, scripts, and number systems. Because if you look at tribal areas, their number system also changes. It is not from 1 to 10. Sometimes it is from 1 to 20. So in those situations, it is important to know what number system children are acquainted with before they enter the schools. Fourth is mapping out language proficiency of the teachers, because teachers generally, because of the lack of their proficiency, they struggle to do justice to children's languages. Other than that, there are other issues like there are no policy provisions, there is no official order to promote children's languages. That's why teachers are always hesitant to promote children's languages. So that's why it is important to know what languages teachers know and in their locality. Fifth is developing appropriate policy to allow use of children's languages. Sixth is developing content for children, teachers, and community members so that they are able to use the materials properly. 7 is building environment in schools and community for this multilingual pedagogy. And 8th is preparing teachers and community members, preparing academic calendars. 9th is facilitating learning in children's languages with community help. 10th is assessing progress of children in children's languages, not in schools' languages immediately. 11 is identifying emerging issues which keep on emerging while you run the program in a new circumstance. And 12 is linking with school languages in a phased manner. So these are a dozen of steps to be followed to promote effective FLN in a multilingual context. So if you come to the first point, recognizing the learning difficulties of children in the multilingual context, you can see that NCERT's evaluation report, which came out in around 2007-8, that is a very useful report to talk about the multilingual education program in Odisha. Second, the Right to Education Act gives us the provision to promote a mother tongue based multilingual education at primary level. Third is our historic national education policy, which empowers us, which gives us the freedom and the scope to promote a mother tongue based multilingual education at the primary level. And already there have been a lot of initiatives in different states. Initially, when we were working in Odisha and other states in the 90s and 2000s, those days, most of the people, they were hesitant to think about this. They never knew what to do and how to go about that. But now the dynamics have completely changed, and many secretaries and directors, they're taking interest in mother tongue based approach now. Fourth is the Nipun Bharat framework, which provides us a beautiful framework to promote mother tongue based multilingual education and strengthen FLN skills of children. Fifth is the National Curricular Framework for Foundational Stage, which came out in 2022, and it gives us a lot of ideas, examples, and a roadmap for promoting mother tongue based FLN activities. Sixth is state curriculum documents in Orissa, Andhra Pradesh, Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, Assam, and in many other states now. They carry the guidelines and the interests to promote mother tongue based approach. Seventh is the policy documents in selected states like Orissa, where the state has developed policy documents to promote mother tongue based multilingual education in the early grades. Eighth is MLE practices, which we see now in many languages. At least I am a person who has worked with more than 50 indigenous communities, helping them develop textbooks, teacher training manuals, and many other supplementary and complementary learning materials in their own language, so that children find it easy to refer to, connect to, understand, and learn. And the ninth is research studies conducted by different international agencies like UNICEF, World Bank, and many other organizations on multilingual education using mother tongues. So how do we undertake socio-linguistic surveys? Socio-linguistic survey is a methodology to understand the socio-cultural background of children and their learning experiences in a multilingual context, and how children learn, what are the difficulties, what kind of support they need from the teachers, community members, and their textbooks and other supplementary materials. Those things come out very distinctly. In Jharkhand, we set up a research cell called MTOL Akhda, and it is a research cell on children's languages that we started in 2011 when I joined as UNICEF's education specialist in this state. So through MTOL Akhda, that is a research center, we have undertaken 2 statewide socio-linguistic surveys to understand children's languages, children's learning difficulties, children's issues, community members' interests, and teachers' proficiencies. So that way, these are very, very helpful. And they have indicated that in Jharkhand, you can understand how difficult it is for children to understand in such a situation. In Jharkhand, 96% children, they did not know the school's language, that is Hindi, because their home languages, which are basically tribal indigenous languages or regional languages, they don't allow children to understand the 3 T's. We call it 3 T's, which includes textbooks in Hindi, teachers teaching in Hindi, and the test papers written in Hindi. Children fail to understand. That's why the learning outcome of Jharkhand used to be very low in all the tests of NCERT, Pratham, and other surveys. And children's dropout used to be the highest in the nation in the early grades. And that's why we designed the language maps, the script maps, and we designed the training modules for teachers and community members. We developed content for the pre-primary level and the primary level, and we enhanced community participation in a very systematic manner. And we set up school museums in more than 12 schools with a lot of local learning resources. And through that, the learning dynamics changed in a dynamic way. I'm going to give you examples to narrate this story. These are the maps which we received through the socio-linguistic surveys. The researchers from all our 6-7 universities who knew the children's languages, they used our socio-linguistic survey tools. They went to the villages, they interacted with children, community members, Anganwadi workers, and primary teachers in their own language. And they could, on the left-hand side, you see a map which is very, very colorful. In this map, you see the different languages of the communities. In this map, you don't find Hindi, that is school's language. If you look at the second map, this is the second most used languages of those communities, and there also Hindi appears very minimum. But in the third language, you can see a bit of Hindi, which is colored in red. So this shows in a state like Jharkhand, which is very, very multilingual, in that situation, Hindi of school is not there in the houses, in the playgrounds, and in the hearts and bazaars of the localities. So children don't understand Hindi. So this was a very, very useful map that gave us the idea that children have a different language, they have a different learning process, they don't understand the teacher, textbooks, and the test papers. Based on that, we mapped out in which division, in which district, what sort of languages are used. We could see in the 5 divisions of Jharkhand, there were prominently visible languages. You see the first language, second language, and third language. Only in the third category, you can see Hindi partially. But in the first and second language category, you don't see Hindi as a language used in the communities. Other than that, there are many other languages, but children don't understand any of these. They understand a community that is either indigenous language, which link languages in certain way, and dates are different from Hindi's Devanagari script. That's why children don't know the scripts also, but the language makes a difference. But we mapped out the scripts to see if children know different scripts also. And as a follow-up to this, we developed bilingual picture dictionaries, indigenous languages, including Santali, Mundari, Ho, Kuduk, Khadia, and the regional languages. And under 48 themes, we depicted the world of children in their languages. This is an example, Meri Bhasha Mein Meri Duniya, children's world in children's languages. And it depicted the world of children under 48 themes. These themes are very interesting because you can see on your left-hand side, you see the local language that is Santali. And in the right-hand side, you see in blue color, it's Hindi. So, Mera Parivar, Aao Kahani Sune, like this, Mera Parivar. They find the word like Ma is known as Akhe and Gogo in Santali, which actually children, they find it very difficult. They cannot relate to. Even below, you can see the number system is also different. On your right-hand side, below, you can see it is written Ek. Ek means 1. And in the Santali, it is with, which is very different from Ek or 1. That's why children don't understand. Similarly, what sort of material they use inside and outside their house, what sort of, how rice is cultivated in their community. We depicted all these things in children's languages, and what sort of materials they make out of soil, out of bamboo, out of wood, out of metals, and what is the number system, what sort of ornaments they wear. All these things created a lot of interest in the Anganwadis. These picture dictionaries, they made children sit around those, and children narrated their own experience around each picture. And you can see the brightness in the eyes of children. Initially, children used to run away. They only came for food and vaccination. But these picture dictionaries glued them, they attracted them. They started discussing in their own language with the Anganwadi Sevika. And slowly, through interaction, their language learning skills built up in a very strong manner. And these are historic pictures for Jharkhand, because Jharkhand's classrooms were completely silent class. But these picture dictionaries, it was a paradigm shift in those areas. And you can see a lot of discussions, a lot of noise inside the classroom, leading to effective learning also. As a follow-up to that, we developed a series of activity booklets in children's mother tongues. We named the content for the pre-primary level as Bhasha Pulya, means language bridge. You can see the 12 books, activity books, carrying lots of activities. On the right-hand side also, you can see in the pictures. On the left-hand side, you can see the learning ladders, how children can participate in the activities and cover the whole course. And in the process, it was done at the pre-primary level, initially in 100 centers, then it was upscaled to 7,200 centers in 6 districts. Government and UNICEF, we collaborated and we facilitated this. Now, this has been expanded to the whole state under a new name. The name is Nanhe Kadam. So these are the books which basically depicted children, child-friendly activities. Children, the type of activities they like to participate in, those activities were given in the books, and through those activities and interactions, children were enabled to acquire those learning skills. You can see very, very attractive titles also, so that children get attracted towards the book content and the activities. And you can see in those books, we had plenty of khel, games, songs, haath se banana, do it yourself with your own hands, naach, dancing, dina, sungna, sunna, chuna, or samajna, sensorial activities, chitra banana, rangna, chape lagana, painting, drawing, and lots of activities around those, abhinay karna, acting, kahani ya anubhav, narrate stories from own experience, paheli suljhana, means solving riddles, खोजबीन करना, exploration, चीजों को या बातों को सजाना, organizing own thoughts in own words, चित्र पढ़ना और समझना, reading pictures and understanding those, बातें करना और समझना, discuss among yourself and narrate and acquire those skills of communication and learning and knowledge. So that way, these 12 activity booklets in a systematic way gave children hundreds of interesting activities, and children really picked up from those activities. And then we found that with a strong foundation at the pre-primary level, children can come to school with their school readiness and they can do well in the early grades. So we developed textbooks for the primary level. We developed textbooks. I had worked with NCERT and the ministry for a long time before joining UNICEF. So it was good and useful for me to guide the indigenous people. They developed wonderful books with nice illustrations and wonderful stories from their own communities, which children could relate to, and they could learn language and mathematics in a very, very interesting and joyful manner. And these are the books. Out of 18 languages, the government decided to publish these books in 7 languages, and books are being printed since 2016, and they are supplied to those schools in about 1,000 schools. More than 2 lakh children use this text in the state. And this is a historic move. Generally, many administrators and managers, they struggle how to go about that. But because I have been working in this area since 1990s, initially in Odisha, then in Andhra Pradesh, then in Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Assam, Gujarat, and other states, we have developed the proficiency, and I have helped in more than 50 indigenous languages to develop these textbooks. So Jharkhand benefited from those experiences, and we could develop these textbooks which were allowed. And other than that, these are the steps, as I said. We need to develop appropriate policies, we need to have content, we need to build the environment, we need to prepare teachers and community members, we need to facilitate appropriate pedagogical processes, we must assess in children's languages, identify emerging issues and addresses continuously, and link with school languages gradually. As a process of that, what we did, we encouraged community participation in a big way. We formed community groups, as you can see the names. Kathakar means storytellers, singers, painters, actors. We used magic also as a tool for learning. And then comedians, players, explorers, riddle makers, designers, sanitation workers, health workers, nutrition workers, and protection workers. So in about 15, 16 areas, we categorized community members in each school to actually help the school while undertaking the pedagogic process as storytellers, singers, dancers, musicians, players, and riddle makers. Those things made a huge difference. Children, those were, you can see here, those 2 children standing here, they were from the Anganwadi centers. These children observed their community members telling them stories. They said, we can also tell stories. They narrated their own stories in their own way, following those tricks and techniques from the community members. So at a very, very early age, they could come up as young storytellers, young poets, young riddle makers, young musicians, young dancers, young singers. Children, those who succeed at this age of theirs, they would never fail in their life. One must understand this serious line that little little successes at this early grade level really build bigger creative persons of life. Those who succeed, it is because of that early grade success. So these things we have seen. So we compiled children's stories in the name of Hamari Kavitaएं, or the songs and stories which community members said, they were compiled as Hamare Liye Kahaniyan, Hamare Liye Kavitaएं. Similarly, community members brought in a lot of community learning resources to develop school museums in Chaibasa, in the West Singhbum district of Jharkhand. They have set up 12 community museums. Children narrate those things, that this is a small agricultural equipment. This is used like this. When children explain that in their own language, they become a professional. So that way, at a very early age, children acquire a lot of learning proficiencies, which are very, very useful for their community and for themselves. So that way, the classrooms changed, the communities changed. The local literature also became very rich, because a lot of literature we started compiling those. Children were mute observers. They became very, very active in the classrooms, and they started doing lots of joyful activities, and they looked very, very dynamic. Teachers felt very energized because children were learning. That gave them the best of awards and satisfaction. Department also felt very happy. Learning outcomes improved, dropout rate reduced, and today we have got a very, very effective system in Jharkhand where children learn. And now, based on our second socio-linguistic survey, the state has designed a roadmap for FLN in the state. This is historic because they have seen, they have experienced success, and now they feel confident to do it. This is a great move. If you look at the genesis, in the 90s, we worked in Orissa and other states, and now it has come to 21 languages. In 2000, the program expanded. I was working for the ministry those days, for around ministry and NCERT for around 10 years for that time. So the program flourished further. There was NCF 2005 in 2005. The evaluation was conducted by NCERT in 2007. Right to Education Act came in 2009. In 2013, the ECC curriculum emphasized on this. We also had a very big contribution to that, which said that mother tongue-based pre-primary education must be promoted. It was also a historic time, and the Jharkhand experience contributed significantly to that, because a national conference we conducted at Jharkhand after our activities, and the ministry appreciated it very much, and they took it up. In 2020, the national curriculum, the national educational policy has come up in a brilliant way. 2022, the foundational stage curricular framework has done this. So we can see in 2023, the mother tongue based approach for FLN is very, very rich. We have got policies, we have got plannings, we have got provisions. So that it is a very, very nice occasion to put our minds and efforts towards a mother tongue based multilingual education for strengthening the foundational literacy. And so that way, I would like to stop here. There is any question or point for discussion to take those.
So it was heartening to listen to you, Vinayji. You showed us the challenge and also took us through the solution to it. And it's so interesting to see the impact it made, that bringing the culture into literacy learning. And I was really thinking it is a big challenge. All the educators are thinking about it and analyzing how we can bring literacy to children who do not have their home language, which is the medium of instruction or the regional language. You have given us the possibility. Thank you so much. Now, may I request the chairperson of this webinar, Professor P.C. Agarwal, principal of our institute, to kindly give his overview and remarks on this webinar.
Thank you. Good evening. And esteemed speakers, Dr. Romila Soni, Madam, Department of Elementary Education from NCERT, and Sri Binay Patnaik ji from World Bank, Senior Consultant, Senior Education Consultant, World Bank, all my colleagues, and all the participants, all the everyone who is joining this webinar. Really, I appreciate the efforts of both the speakers. Very lucidly, they elaborated, and I express my deep gratitude. I'm thankful to both of you, Madam Soni and Patnaik ji. And actually, Madam elaborated in a very fascinating manner that what is the importance of storytelling based pedagogy. We all talk about that creativity should be there, and thinking should be there, problem solving there should be there. So she elaborated in very detailed and in very short span of time, not only storytelling, but listening story. And she told that storytelling is a method. It fosters creativity, critical thinking. It improves imagination power. Emotions are there. We want that socio-emotional development must be there. So story is the best way of that. He even highlighted about Panchkos and Panchpadi, referring NCFS. Students or like learners are engaged in classrooms. There are so many benefits she highlighted. And one more thing I would like to add, that through stories, students, they learn even what is aesthetics, and they find that world is very beautiful. And they emerge with a confidence in living this world, sidelining the challenges right from the beginning. So, see, even, and we all know that we want that students should be actively engaged. And stories are the ways by which even reluctant learners, they focus their attention, and their span of attention is increased. See, even described about phonological awareness, comprehension skills, imagination, creativity, sequence in retelling, critical thinking, and all these things. So we all know, before this discussion session or before this webinar, I was not knowing this much about the importance of the stories. Though in my life, in my childhood, we used to listen to stories in moonlight, right? So, but we all know that now we are not giving that environment to our children. We want that environment must be there, because this is the way that the language skills can be improved to a great height, and we can add on learning of children. So I find that the way she explained, and she ended with Ram and Shyam's story, and Birbal came in the picture. Moral value is there. So values, we say that values are caught, should not be taught. So this is the way that how, because Shyam was actual owner. So he felt that this tree, where he has spent 7 years in bringing that tree up, should not cut down. Better Ram should take it. So this is the moral. And so this story was also a good story. We have such nice stories. Even creativities, we told that we can have sentence strips below pictures, and then imagination is there, creativity is there. Children can develop their stories at their own. There can be different stories with the same pictures. So creativity is actually enhanced. So I appreciate, madam, what you told, and actually this gave us, your deliberations gave us an insight. And I think whatever insight we have developed, we will further advance it with your further interactions in coming days. And actually, we would like to collect stories from our region also. We have once undertaken this activity also. We collected some stories of some pockets of our region, because sharing those stories to the other regions will also be very important. We can collect those things. So today morning, even I was in one seminar, FLN seminar in ODM group here. Then it emerged there that teacher told that we are very much well acquainted because they are urban teachers. Rural teachers have different types of difficulties. So teachers' work is not confined to their classroom only. I requested them to develop material which will be useful for others, even at the global level. So this way, I appreciate, and actually we thank you for sparing your time.
Thank you so
Many
much.
things are there actually, that much it will not be possible for me because I have been given time only of 5 minutes by the coordinator. So I think 3 minutes, 3-4 minutes I have already covered. And now I come to the Binay Patnaik ji, multilingualism, and he explained he has a wide experience, vast experience, and how multilingualism is important, which was firstly not recognized, but last 2003-04, we recognized well in our documents also because multilingualism is required. Now NEP is talking about no barrier, but there is a barrier. Language is a barrier. So mother tongue is very, very important. And he has explained different ways that how he studied and what is the importance of language. Not only he's talking about literacy, but he's talking about numeracy also, that they have their own numbers. So unless we go to their level of understanding, their level of language, we cannot connect them. So getting connected them with the system, we have to work in mother tongue. And that's why this NEP is suggesting that there should be recruitment of local teachers or one-on-one peer tutoring must be there, social workers must be there. Language should not be barrier for any learner. What are the problems? He explained in very detail what are the challenges and how challenges can overcome. We can overcome challenges, what we can do to overcome challenges. Even pictures, giving them pictures, they can bring out things in their own language. Now NEP is talking about in bilingual languages, bilingual textbooks, bilingual material, where one language will be child's own language, while the other language will be regional language also, so that a child gets connected. Because if you want that everyone should be brought in the arena of elementary education or education, then they should have access of everything, and that is possible only when it is in their own language. We have to understand them so that they will not withdraw from the system, they will come in the system, and we have to foster, we have to promote their language, at least to the level they learn. And he gave many examples. He explained that he has worked in so many states on this aspect. Nearly 50 languages he has worked, as he told, tribal languages. And there are so many languages, and we want that each of the child, RTE is also guaranteeing each of the child should be in the education system, should get quality education, inclusive education, everything. We have to include everyone. So that's why this multilingualism is very, very important. Even he explained that within community, they take help of young musician, of many people he told, if I remember correctly, because I could not write the things, storyteller, actor, musician, riddle maker, etc., etc. So this we are connecting them with their culture in learning. And unless learning is connected with culture, especially at foundational stage, then connectivity will be very poor, and we will not be able to bring child in our system. So I cannot speak much because time limitation is there, but I appreciate efforts of both the speakers, and really appreciate the way Sri Binay Patnaik ji explained about multilingualism. He actually again enhanced our vision, understanding about multilingualism and importance of multilingualism, and how our children, our learners, they are facing challenges. We have to think about that, and we should develop material for them also, so that they are part and parcel of our learning system or school system. So both of these speakers actually enlightened us with their work, where they are expert. They are working so hard in these areas. Definitely our participants, we, my faculty members, colleagues, we got an opportunity to listen you, to learn many things from you. And I hope that this will not be an end. This is just starting. This is an opportunity that under G20 Bhagidari activity, we organized it. But we all know that FLN is the most important stage of any school education or any higher education or any education, continuous learning. Unless foundation is strong, we cannot move forward, and we cannot produce learners well-rounded, we say, holistic, we say well-equipped for 21st century. If we want that our learners are global citizens later on, are competent, confident, are innovative, creative, participative, then their foundation is to be very, very strong. And that's why literacy and numeracy have very, very important role. This is my experience, that if foundation is strong, then even teacher's role is very, very limited.
Absolutely.
So this way, this seminar is very meaningful, and we actually enjoyed your experiences. My colleagues, they would have enjoyed your experiences. I thank again both of these speakers, Madam Soni and Sri Patnaik ji, and I especially thank coordinator for taking all this pain and connecting you with us, and all the participants, those who enjoyed this experience. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for motivating and inspiring, for your, nice words. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And thank you so much, Professor Gauramma, also for coordinating in very well. Because I requested her, to remind me for the time, because once I start speaking, it is very difficult to control, especially when you are taking a creative session. So thank you so much, Professor Agarwal. Thank you so much. Thank you, Professor Gauramma. And it's nice connecting to Dr. Patnaik as well. And thank you to all dear participants for your patient listening. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Soni madam. Thank you so much. Thank you,
Sir, namaste. Thank you so much. It was really very, very encouraging to hear from you. And the way you understand and articulate is very, very inspiring, sir. That's a very, very nice thing. And we are very thankful to Professor Gauramma and Professor Lakshmindar Behera and others, those who are coordinating this. And it's a great occasion for both of us, actually, Dr. Rumila Soniji and myself. And we have been working together in certain areas. So it's a great opportunity to share our experience and complement each other. If it is useful, it's a great solace for us. Thank you so much, sir.
It is highly useful, sir. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. And then ours to leave. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Romila. Thank you, Binaji.
Thank you, Sahu madam. And thank you so much, Sandhya madam. And special thanks to Lakshmidhar Behera's Professor Lakshmidhar Behera also, although I cannot see him. So, and this is the way also you can get yes, Professor Behera.
I have given the responsibility to propose vote of thanks.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So thank you very much. So I must thank our principal sir, Professor P.C. Agrawal, for his concluding remarks and for his guidance for successful completion of this webinar. And yes, we have learned many things, and this will be helpful for developing our awareness and understanding, as well as it will be helpful for implementation of foundational literacy and numeracy, as we are implementing, we are responsible for implementing in the region of the country. So I must thank both the speakers, Dr. Romila Soni ma'am and Mr. Binay Patnaik sir. So Romila Soni ma'am, when I pursued my diploma in early childhood care and education, so she was also taking classes, and she is a real practitioner. She has theoretical understanding, she has practical experiences. So when she engages us in the class, so it will be very engaging and interesting always. So today we had opportunity to listen to ma'am. So thank you, ma'am, for enlightening us about storytelling and how it will be a pedagogic approach at these foundational stages. So we must thank Binay Patnaik sir. So I know him since 2001. So he has vast experience in this field, and he has experience in different states, and particularly in multilingual context. He has experience in development of textbook. Now also he is engaged in development of textbook at this foundational stage. So thank you very much, sir, for enlightening us. And this will be helpful for, this knowledge will be helpful for all of us in teacher training programs and other areas. I must thank Dean of Instruction, ma'am, Professor Sandharani Sahu, madam, for her guidance. All the heads of the department of this institute, HM, DM school, and all the participants. I must thank particularly Nodal Officer, ICT Studio, Professor Ramakant Malik sir and his team for facilitating us for this webinar. And I thank all the participants, research scholars, and our office staffs. So those who have helped us for conducting this webinar. Yes, so the outcome of this seminar will be helpful for all of us. So we'll be developing a report and it will be shared with all of us, all of you. So thank you very much to all of you for successful completion of this webinar. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, and
Particularly,
congratulations.
I thank the most important person I forgot to thank, IP Goroma ma'am. So
Yes.
she is
How can you forget?
so she coordinated the program within short span of time, 2-3 days. Within 2-3 days, she contacted the resource persons and she coordinated very nicely. So always working with ma'am is always experience for me. So thank you very much, ma'am, for your guidance and successfully coordinating this event. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and congratulations to RI Bhubaneswar. And allow us to leave, and bye-bye. Thanks, Dr. Gorama. Thanks, yeah. Bye. Bye.
Thank you again. It was wonderful.
Namaste, sir. Bye.
And in the meeting chat, many people have thanked, and thanks to each of you, those who have appreciated this. Both of us are very, very thankful to all of you. And congratulations. It's wonderful. Professor Sandhyarani Sahuji, namaste. It was so nice seeing you. Good.